right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Scoops. We have a bunch of different stuff from a bunch of different games actually to cover this week. Pretty small amount of news for each, but still important. So try to cover everything as quickly as we possibly can. Make sure you leave a like and a comment before we get started. But our first topic of the day. So some of you who may not have seen, there was a big tournament in Korea that happened recently called Fighter Spirit. For Guilty Gear Strive. It was on the Arc World Tour for this year, their circuit. Really stacked event, by the way. So like, if you're into Guilty Gear Strive, you should definitely go check it out. It was definitely a really sick tournament to watch, but it caused a little bit of controversy because the winner of Fighter Spirit was actually Tempest. And Tempest had actually already qualified for the Arc Revo finals by winning a previous event, won a previous auto qualifier. And so Tempest is in the situation where he has won 2 events. And so a bunch of people were thinking, you know, if someone has already won an event on the tour, you should just give the slot to second place, right? You should just give it to the person that came in second place for that event. It turns out that's not the way that they're doing it. Unfortunately, what they're doing instead is they're adding another player to qualify through LCQ. And this is brought up a bunch of discourse about, you know, World Tour formats. I've covered a bunch of different things involving, you know, World Tours and circuits. I have a whole video on it. You can check it out in the description if you want. But yeah, this really begs the question of, are they really acting in the best interest of the competitive, you know, landscape with this change? It's really brutal, right? Because the difference is massive between, you know, already having someone from foreign country already qualified, right? That alleviates their need to like play in another event to qualify, all that. But LCQs are fucking brutal. They're just absolutely brutal. Like some of the most difficult tournaments to compete in general, and it makes it even more difficult because now you have to make it to grand finals in this one tournament, and that decides whether your trip was in vain, like whether you spend a bunch of money for nothing, or whether you actually get to play in the finals, which is really unfortunate. A lot of people are rallying and trying to get ArcSys to change their decision on this. I think it would be really good for them if they just qualified. Who got second place of Fighter Spirit. I think it was Tai, if I remember correctly. I can check really quick. It was Tai. Yeah, really strong Geo player from Japan. So if they give him the slot, that'll be sick. Especially he's like newly sponsored and everything, so that'll be pretty cool. I don't think many people would complain about it either. You know, you still have the slot open in the LCQ, but yeah. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. Hopefully they reverse the decision. We'll see what they do. My intuition tells me that they probably won't change it because companies are really not smart when it comes to things like this, but we can only hope. Okay, next thing, Mortal Kombat 1. So Mortal Kombat 1, it has been getting dragged as of late, and rightfully so, because of a few different things. So this is a really good post from Full Auto, one of the, you know, top level NRS players, especially when it comes to MK1. And he says, 2 months since MK1 launched, there's no Wi-Fi filter. There's no rooms or lobbies. You can't do like private lobbies the way that you want. Like you can't do custom lobbies the way that you would like in MK1. So that's a big thing missing. No ping MS display, which would, you know, you would figure that that's just standard with games nowadays, and no crossplay either. This is a big deal, right? It's a big deal because Mortal Kombat 1 is, for all intents and purposes, should be an absolutely massive game, right? It's the it's the highest grossing fighting game IP, right? It sells more than even Smash, right? And it has a ton of people that are interested in it, a ton of people that are playing it, and it seems like Warner Brothers, I mean, I don't know how much of this is NRS's fault, how much of it is Warner Brothers' fault. Some of it is definitely Warner Brothers' fault, but they in tandem are kind of dropping the ball with their release. You know, it's only been 2 months, and in a lot of ways, it feels like the momentum and the hype that they built up with the marketing for the game has kind of died down, which is a shame considering combat pack has like some really sick characters coming out. Homelander's not even in the game yet, but Omni-Man dropped. People have been playing Omni-Man and whatnot. But yeah, so they really like are shooting themselves in the foot by making it not a great experience, for people to be able to play the game, like missing all these things. On top of that, the PC port is still bad. These are things that, affect everyday people. Like, it's not just like the pros either, right? It's not just like the super competitive players. This affects everyone. And so hopefully they get their shit together eventually. He goes into detail about some more stuff down here, but I actually have another page that I want to show you guys about this. So just to keep it all in perspective, right? MK1's monetization is like really bad, right? And I would even use a different word than bad, right? It's predatory. It's straight up predatory. It takes advantage of people in a really big way. And just to demonstrate what I mean, I'm gonna show you this, right? So Omni-Man just dropped, right? Omni-Man came out. He's a $7.99 character, $7.99 for a DLC character. A little bit on the expensive side for a fighting game character, but understandable because it is it's a crossover DLC, right? It comes from a big IP. It has a lot of buzz around it, this and that, all that stuff. I'm not mad at $8 DLC, right? However, what I am mad about is if you go, they've released an announcer pack actually for Omni-Man. And Omni-Man's voice for the announcer pack costs $10. It costs more than the character himself, which is absolutely insane. I don't really know how they justified this, but for some reason, the voice pack for Omni-Man costs more than the character itself. And people have been complaining about MK1 and the way that they've done monetization from the jump. There's been a lot of things that people have been up in arms about the way that they, force people to pay so much money for skins, for fatalities, all the, stuff that people want, but like aren't willing to necessarily break the bank to come out of their pockets for it. And this just really hammers the point home that they need to reevaluate this in a big way. Like, you can't get away with charging people more for a voice pack than the character himself. Like that just like, I don't think that really makes sense to anyone. I don't know who this made sense to on NRS's end or Warner Brothers end, but they're gonna risk like losing everything, right? With such bad policy on your first patch, like the first part of your game is what matters most, right? The launch matters a ton, and general opinion, like public opinion, matters a ton for influencing whether people, think your game is good and decide to pick it up later, or whether they're just like, this game is trash, I'm not even gonna bother ever, right? You really limit your potential player base by having shitty policy like this, and they're barreling down that road right now. Like, it is to the point where things are so bad that even a lot of the pros and the people that are diehard Mortal Kombat fans like are not feeling it. They're really not a fan. And they might continue to play for content or whatever, but if they don't take it seriously, then that's big opportunity dropped. So ugly stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. Okay, moving on. Dragon Ball FighterZ. So you've probably heard this here and there, but the devs of Dragon Ball FighterZ have been messing around with some Steam database things. They've been adding public beta tests. The first time they added public beta tests with a bunch of stuff, and then they removed it immediately after. So it was really funny because like people were getting their hopes up, and then they took it away, and then people were like, "What the fuck is gonna happen?" This and that. They have since added another one, November 20th, as you can see. And so, to me, this just says that the rollback beta is gonna be sometime relatively soon. I would assume it's not going to be out until after finals in January. Finals are in the end of January, so I assume they'll probably announce it and do the test after that. Some people are believing that it's actually going to be announced after UFA this weekend. Don't know how likely that is, really. Especially like it's big in terms of how important it is to the tour. It is on the world tour. and people hold the event in high regard. But if you like look at the numbers and everything surrounding it, not exactly the best state to do an announcement like that. I don't know if they would do that, as opposed to, you know, at finals, not only will everyone be watching that is interested in Dragon Ball Fighters, but also people that are interested in other Dragon Ball games. You know, the Battle Hour is not just a Dragon Ball Fighters event, it's a Dragon Ball IP event. And in the past, they've used that fact to kind of hold people hostage in a way. They want the residual viewership and all that from people being interested in Dragon Ball, even if they're not interested in fighters. And so there have been instances of them like holding the fighters announcement to the very, very end, because they know that's what people want to stick around for, and they know that's what people are really, really interested. If they show it first, then everyone just leaves afterwards, and it doesn't look good for optics and whatnot. So don't know where they'll go with that. I still assume it's going to be after finals. If it's sooner, great. But like I said, the beta is going to come out. It's going to take, you know, I don't know how long the beta will be open for. But then they're going to have to take a bunch of time to make fixes to the implementation and all that. So we're still looking at, for the final rollback implementation, it's going to be some months. It's going to definitely still be some months from here. So that's, yeah. That's what I have for that. Okay, next, Uni 2. Uni 2 had a beta this past weekend. And it seems like reception is overall really good. I saw a lot of people really, really enjoying it. Of course, people will have their things that they like, they don't like, but it is a beta. At the end of the day, things can change. But general reception has been pretty positive from what I've seen. It looks like it's shaping up to be pretty solid all around. I'm definitely going to give it a try. The only real issue with Uni 2 is that it comes out the same weekend as Tekken 8, which is really unfortunate, but what can we really do? There's not really much that we can do in that regard. I don't know how much crossover there is between Tekken and Uni fan bases, but for general fighting game audience, it's pretty, it does suck that you know, neither one of those games will get the full scope of like being in the spotlight for a set amount of time, because they're both coming out at the same time. People kind of split attention between one and the other. You would like for there to be, you know, at least a few weeks where, you know, it's the game for a while, you know. Kind of happens to every big release, but you know, like I said, out of our control. Not much we can do in that regard. But I found this really funny clip. This is from Kamone, who is I believe he's lead dev on Uni. I don't know what his official title is. I don't know if he's producer or whatever, but he's the guy when it comes to Uni and to that extension Uni 2. And I just thought this was a really funny clip, so we're gonna check this out.
Yeah. Crossplay is very important. I understand. But make the crossplay. Crossplay is too difficult to add the game and spend the many money. We have no money. クソ英語。
I found this really funny, especially because like he laughs about it at the end. But Uni 2, obviously not releasing with crossplay. Crossplay, for those of you who don't know, it's an expensive feature, especially when Sony's involved. It's a very, very expensive feature. French bed is still really, really small in the grand scheme of things. They just don't have the money to do crossplay at the moment. And so I respect him for like coming right out and saying it and being upfront with people. It does suck that it doesn't have crossplay, but I think, you know, obviously their netcode is going to be good, and I think the game will do really well. So it is what it is. I will say though that now that a lot of games are starting to get better netcode, this is the next step. The next step is to push for more and more devs to have crossplay. Crossplay is actually a very, very important feature for, you know, maximizing on the player bases of fighting games that already suffer from like having that retention issue. Like fighting games have that issue where, you know, you can get people on the game for a little bit, but then, you know, keeping people on it is really, really difficult. And, you know, we're the small guys. And so trying to get allowing every bit of the player base to actually like play with each other and interact and, you know, let those communities flourish. It's obviously a very, very big thing, I think, for fighting games. So hopefully more games decide to go that route. For Uni, it's understandable that they don't. But some of these other bigger devs and publishers, you guys don't have an excuse. Looking at you, Dragon Ball Fighters, you guys have no excuse. I'm just saying. Okay, last thing on the list, DNF Duel is on sale. I just wanted to throw this in here at the end. It actually goes on sale a decent amount. This is obviously a game that I run a bunch of tournaments for. They still have a community for it. People are still trying to play. They have a DLC character coming out very soon, Battle Mage. It's coming out in December. And so if you're out there and you've ever been interested in DNF Duel, it is going to be 60% off this week. I don't think it's yet. It says it starts the 21st, so tomorrow. But yeah, check it out on Steam. I don't know how it runs on Switch, to tell you the truth. Oh, actually, you know what? I do know one thing about the Switch port. The Switch port does not have rollback, and so I wouldn't recommend the Switch port. I wouldn't recommend the Switch port, but if you want to play on PC, go ahead and grab the game and join Wumpa Warriors, because I run tournaments for it every week. All right, cool. That's it for this week of Scoops. If you enjoyed the news, make sure you leave a like and comment, and I'll see you guys next time whenever we have news to bring to the table. All right, later.